Hello, everyone. So the reason why I didn't have a hello in my last episode is because I deleted about 4 minutes, thought I was rambling too much. I promised an episode would drop today, so that's what I'm doing. However, I do have a cough, and that's part of why this episode is being recorded right now at 11:10 a.m. Pacific on Friday. I have been feeling very good though recently because I looked in my DMs because I don't check them that often, and I looked in my DMs and I had a DM from someone from the show, and additionally I had a girl who DM'd me saying drop that recap tomorrow and she sent me that after the newest episode and it felt so good. I mean, the podcast is definitely starting to grow, so thank you again for listening. Please rate me 5 stars on Apple. Also, my Apple numbers don't represent anything as far as listenership at all. It's very misleading because how many podcasts have you rated? How many TV shows have you rated? How many restaurants? Like, think about it. As a consumer, you're not rating things. So it's like the number of ratings that I have in my... So I'll put it this way. I have 13 Apple ratings and I get 13 listens in probably 5 minutes. So there you go. That's how accurate that number is as far as reflecting my actual listenership. So please help, because I only have 13 ratings on there, and I can't even rate my own podcast on Apple Podcasts because I don't have an iPhone. So that is very annoying, but that's what it is. So anyways, I think I said that already, but I edited about 4 minutes out, about 4 minutes of my last episode for episode 5, and I have a cough. I'm battling a cough. I deleted about 5 coughs in that episode, and I'm gonna delete however many in this one. I'm not the biggest fan of complaining about being sick, especially when it's a mild sickness or a temporary sickness, but when you're doing a podcast and coughing, just want to apologize for those coughs that I've had. Okay, I'm gonna talk about how episode 6 begins, because I got my whole entire life in the beginning of episode 6. We need to get into the pornography, the Tyler Lepley pornography that we all witnessed. I'm calling it porn because that is how much that scene meant to me, and that is how much I watched that scene. Okay, just like I be watching my porn to rub one out, I watched that scene. I didn't know I was gonna get all that. Like I said, I'm really backing up, I'm easing up off of these like P-Valley spoilers. I saw that Diamond and Big Bone, they were going to smash in episode 6, and I was furious that I just found that out. I wanted to just watch and find that out, and that's all part of why, like I said, my research, I tend to read at least 3,000 comments. I watch hella videos. I do too much, which is also part of why my recaps are not as punctual as they could be. But I guess I found out that they were gonna smash, but I didn't know that I was going to be listening to my neck, my back, and seeing everything that I saw, everything that I witnessed, everything that I've been watching this show for, with the exception of a full frontal scene with Diamond. I need some full frontal from Diamond, but my mouth was on the floor. My eyes were the size of golf balls. I said, what is happening? It was just as graphic as I needed it to be, as I've wanted it to be, as I've begged P-Valley. I begged y'all to give me this content, and y'all gifted us with this content. Thank you. God is real. Okay? Like, Oh my God. Okay, so when Tyler is on top of Big Bone, when Diamond is on top of Big Bone and he's putting in that work, right where he's seeing Keyshawn's face, I felt that, okay? I felt that he was on top of me. And that is how I wanted to feel. It was a very transcendent scene. That's the wrong word, but I don't care. Because y'all, like, it was everything I wanted. Oh my God, I need more. I do. Now I really do need some Tyler Lepley porn. So, I hope it comes out one day, because I will pause the rest of my fucking porn collection. So it was just everything I wanted. Y'all saw it. I don't gotta do a play-by-play, but God damn. Oh my God, it was worth the wait. I think, let me think. I think it has to be my favorite sex scene of the series. I mean, why wouldn't it be? And then I just love that Diamond is seeing Keyshawn, because it just shows that he's not over Keyshawn. And I really, really appreciate that, because now that he has a new bitch, as a viewer of the show, we could think, okay, he's done with Keyshawn. I'm glad he's not done with Keyshawn. And then Miracle Watts, her ass, it deserves its own awards and features. Honestly, Miracle Watts' ass is the opposite of what my ass looks like. So I can look at it in just wonderment, because I'm like, how does that work? That's a lot. There's a lot back there going on. And it kind of makes the sex scene sexier in a way, because you're like, okay, here's this just cushion pillow in the back that he's on top of. And oh my God, obviously that scene is, this is why, you know what I'm saying? This is why I work on this podcast for a very long time, since the show came out. This is why it was all worth it. You know what I'm saying? That scene, that sex scene with Diamond, proved that it was all worth it. Please give us more. You can never put in too many Diamond sex scenes. All you guys got to do is step the shit up and show us some full frontal, like I've been begging for. That's what I need. So after Big Bone and Diamond have sex, Big Bone, she walks to the kitchen, and after I watched that scene, I was like, you know what, should I have auditioned for season 2? That was literally a thought. I was like, should I have auditioned for season 2 of P-Valley so that I could have sex with Tyler Lepley? As if, thousands of bitches didn't try to audition. I was like, should I have auditioned? And I can say right now, absolutely not, because I don't need all that nudity that Miracle Watts was giving. I would not be trying to give all that nudity. All I would be doing is I'd be fired the first day, because I would be like, you know what, Tyler, I need you to come over to my house so we could practice. And he would just be like, HR? So clearly that wouldn't work. But so Big Bone and Diamond, they're in the kitchen, because Big Bone is, obviously everybody believes she works for Montavious' gang. She's looking at his ring. That's Montavious' ring. So back to when Diamond and Big Bone are in bed, Big Bone says, you always come in that condom. I want that in my mouth. And she didn't say mouth, but you know how I do if you listen to this. And I'm watching this okay, so you want Diamond to take it out, put it in your mouth, come in your mouth, Why? You know, when you give him a blowjob, he can come in your mouth versus taking his dick out for like the best part when he finishes and putting it in your mouth. And he's wearing a condom, so you really want to be tasting that condom in your mouth. You want it in your mouth, Big Bone? Give him a blowjob. That was confusing, but whatever. I don't know what Big Bone is on, but that's a little sex ed 101, right? If you want cum in your mouth, then make him come in your mouth by giving him a blowjob. So anyways, when Big Bone, I'm sorry to be so silly, but it was like, I'm watching it like, what? So Big Bone, she tells Diamond, yo eyes, they so heavy. Every time you fucking me, they be closed. Next time, I want them chestnut eyes wide open. Just like this dripping pussy. You hear me? Okay. So again, I'm confused. Just be happy that you're getting some diamond dick. Like, that's all you need to be worried about is how much dick you gonna get. Not like the cum in the mouth, the eyes wide open. Like, what is this? What is Big Bone about? I love the mystery behind Big Bone because I don't understand her. She don't make no sense to me. And so I'm really interested to see where they're going to go with Big Bone. So at the beginning of this episode, there was a suicide warning. And guess what? I must have been in my phone because I didn't see it. So I'm very happy I didn't see it because every single person was complaining about how they saw the warning. They knew it was coming. I didn't see that shit. But we see that Big Teak, he has a gang party with everyone wearing the HVH gang colors thrown by Little Murda. And Little Murda gives him a car. And then Big T gets in the car and he just starts crying so hard. And Little Murda's like, you okay? Or whatever he says. And it's like, that's the problem. Like, all this, like, all Big Teak has been doing is stuffing it down. Not having therapy. Not having a professional to talk to. Not really explaining from, top to bottom what's going on in his head, how he is feeling. With everything that we go through, we really do need professional help. We really, really do. And the African American community is not open to therapy a lot of times. Like, we're just taught to pray or go to church. And you need a professional therapist because they always tell you things that are, they have an objective perspective. Your friends and family are coming at you because they know you and they know you in certain ways that a therapist doesn't. And you need a stranger's input and a professional's input on a consistent basis. Like, therapy will change your life for the better. It's like, if you're putting your money towards bags and shoes, makeup, travel, whatever it is, it makes a lot of sense to take a little of your money, if your insurance doesn't cover it, and pay for therapy. And that's for everyone, whether you've been in solitary confinement or not. And we see that Big Teak is always so emotional, and Lil Murda's always trying to calm him down. And it's like, clearly that's not enough. If he's there bawling so hard when he gets this wonderful gift, he has this party, he gets this gift, that just shows that it's very hard for him to find happiness, and he needs help because he's just frozen in that space. And so then we see how Big Teak, he stops crying, stuffs it down, when honestly crying is very therapeutic. It's a really good release. And then he starts doing donuts. So Big Teak is at the barber shop getting his hair cut by fire, a technique used by the legendary Warren Lewis, because P-Valley is always trying to recognize people in the African American community who made a big impact in the culture. I appreciate it. It's so great. And so Warren Lewis, he's the one who created the hair pick for black afros. And the barber tells Big Teak that he looks casket sharp. And some people are like, what? But I've already known about that phrase, casket sharp. It's used in the South when you're looking really nice. And so Big Teek's face is reflected. He looks in the mirror, and there's this picture of a devil on it. That was the foreshadowing of what was to come. And there's a photo of a man who apparently sold his soul. I'm gonna say sold his soul because that's the depth of my knowledge about that. But the picture and the devil, that all has to do with some, people from the past, that P-Valley wanted to incorporate into this episode, some historical people from the past. So Keyshawn tells Murda that Rome tried it, and Murda knows exactly what that means. And she also tells him that she told Wody that Rome knew about Murda being on the DL. And little Murda was just in a moment, everything could change. And I just love how Murda didn't tell Big Teek that Rome knew about him. I love that Murda allowed Big Teek to have his day and to have his moment. And it just really made me like little Murda more, because you know how sometimes it's like you hear bad news and you have to share it. And I thought it was really beautiful that little Murda didn't even tell Big Teek about what Keyshawn just telling him that Rome already knows about his sexuality. So then Derek walks into the room when Keyshawn is talking to little Murda. Of course, he has to know who she's talking to. So then I thought it was really funny how we have Derek telling Keyshawn, Rome was such a good guy. It was just so perfect. It's like P-Valley didn't gotta do that. Remind us of what a piece of shit that Derek is by him not being able to detect when another man is a piece of shit. That was very funny. And it's like, it's like in that moment, it occurred to me that when your man is beating on you, you can't tell him that another man tried to rape you. Or in Keyshawn's words, tried it. You can't tell him that, because you know what he's going to do? He's going to take that shit out on Keyshawn. And so it just kind of, in that scene, it just really made me think that when you're in an abusive relationship, you have to keep all these secrets from your partner, because your partner is batshit crazy and you can't even tell them what's really going on in your life because you're too afraid that it's going to set them off. And it's like, this is your man and the father of your kids, and you can't tell him that another man tried to rape you because you think he's going to turn your face into a punching bag. I mean, it's so sad. And we see that Keyshawn is a complete shell of herself after the discovery that Derek was beating her 3-year-old Jaden. And a lot of fans, when Keyshawn went on her tour, a lot of fans were like, oh, she left the kids with Derek. Can't believe, she left the kids with Derek. And the whole time I was just thinking, these people are out of their mind. And I would leave some comments. I was like, Derek loves his kids. They're fine. I was ignorant. And that's what I appreciate about P-Valley is P-Valley, it really taught me that your kids are never safe when you're with an abuser. And I know that a lot of times the abusers abuse the kids, but I did not see that coming from Derek, especially with how small the kids were. I really didn't see it. And this show showed me that I was very stupid not to recognize that nobody is safe around an abuser, especially their own kids. We already know that, but I was just really surprised that Derek chose to take all of his anger out on the 3-year-old who's crying, because any 3-year-old is going to be crying if they got to be dealing with Derek's ass instead of Keyshawn's. And so he took all of his anger out on the 3-year-old, and Keyshawn now realizes that she has to go because the abuse has spilled over. It's not just contained within her, it's also her kids. And it's so sad to see how miserable she was, because up until Derek hit her kids, she was never that miserable with him, where she just seem to just hate every single second with him. So Big Teak wants to drop off Lil Murda, and Lil Murda refuses because he says that he wants to spend time with him. And then Mercedes brings groceries to Michelle, and she sees the molding oranges in the fridge and all the empty alcohol bottles in the refrigerator. And Michelle says that she's never going to give up custody of Terica. And I will get into that in my spoilers episode. Some of the things that I saw about Michelle. My very last spoilers episode that I said, beware, I'm going to give a disclaimer. I know it's going to be some bullshit up in there, so you could take from it what you will. So then moving right along, Coach calls Mercedes and asks her to finish the Mercedes experience because Farrah won't stop talking about it. And Mercedes seems very annoyed. She tells Coach that she just wants to spend time with him. Maybe I'm misreading, because I believe that Mercedes is trying to secure the bag. She's trying to please Coach, and she's not really trying to involve Farrah in the way that Farrah is trying to rope her into some type of romance. And I think Mercedes was trying to get her money, and that's kind of why she was just like, I want to, I thought it was just going to be me and you or whatever. And it's all so sad what happened, obviously. We'll get to that later. So then we're at the wing restaurant that Uncle Clifford and Lil Murda talked about having a date on in the future in season 1. And Big Teak is looking extra handsome and reminiscing about what he had with Murda when they were in jail. It was such great acting. I mean, Lil Murda and Big Teak, they have such flawless chemistry. And I have to credit some of that to Lil Murda, the actor who plays him, because I feel that Lil Murda has great chemistry with everybody. I feel that Lil Murda seriously crushes it when it comes to acting. But this was so well cast. These two were so well cast because they just have this energy when they're together, and especially in that restaurant, it was just so moving, so tender. It's what a perfect couple, right? When they're not at each other's throats, it's you just see they have such a bond. It was really, really, I enjoyed seeing how they just interact with each other. And Katori Hall was saying that Lil Murda and Big Teak, they're straight passing, because you look at them and you're like, these two are not on a date, they're just friends. Which is why you saw that the waitress wouldn't really stop when it came to Big Teak. So I love that I never even thought about how no one would assume that they were on a date. But with her reminding fans that they're passing in their own way, I appreciate that, because it's true. It's how there's probably a lot of Lil Murdas and Big Teaks out there, and we have no idea because they're straight passing. And when Big Teak and Lil Murda are in the restaurant, we see that colorism obviously works with both genders lusting after each other because of their skin tone and or eye color. Because the waitress's comments on Big Teak having light skin, light eyes, and her making his red bone self more red, those comments are just as disgusting as when men talk about women this way. That same waitress wouldn't want to hear a man making comments about a woman that way, even though, of course, we hear that bullshit all the time. But skin tone does not make someone attractive. Big Teak looked like a snack this entire episode. He cleans up so well. She could have just said that he's handsome and she likes his eyes without placing so much emphasis on his light skin and being a red bone. Because we seriously overlook people who aren't light skinned and don't have light eyes, and it's ridiculous, right? And we shouldn't be making these comments as if those are healthy comments to make, and as if Teak is only handsome because of the color of his eyes and skin. That's not how attraction works, right? And it's you see it in this, obviously I'm not talking about black people right now, but you see it on 90 Day Fiancé. On 90 Day Fiancé, the guy is a 10 in some third world country, and he's lusting after a bitch who is a 2 because she has blonde hair and blue eyes. And he'll always say she's beautiful, she has blonde hair and blue eyes. And I always say this to people whenever I meet someone who says, I like blonde hair and blue eyes. I say, you sound like Hitler right now. You should be embarrassed. I say that every single time because I go, hair color and eye color does not make someone attractive. You sound ridiculous. You sound like an idiot because hair color and eye color, that's like 1% of what somebody actually is. And that's all you care about. And because I've seen it. I've seen people like go after guys who are ugly because of their hair color and eye color. It's wild. It is disgusting. Cannot stand it. It's kind of like, you know, you look at Drake. I've never found Drake attractive. I've always said he's okay. Because when I look at a celebrity, I look at them like, okay, would I really be into them if they were on the street, just as a regular person? And if I came across Drake on the street, I would keep walking. Because I don't care about his very, very light skin. I don't care about that shit. Right? But then when I saw him in person, he did look handsome. And so I was like, okay. But like Drake is an example of basically like if Drake were dark skinned, bitches wouldn't be talking about him the way that they talk about him. They just wouldn't. And I've always said, like, if Beyonce looked like Whoopi Goldberg, she would not have the career that she has, the success. She just wouldn't. So it's like you have to call a spade, and you have to recognize that as a woman, like, why are you just lusting after someone, woman or man, because of their hair their eye color and their skin tone, when Big Teak is fucking cute? So just focus on the fact that he is pretty sexy and leave it at that. And he cleans up so well. So then Big Teak says that the world moved on without him. And he asks about Uncle Clifford. And then he looks sad when when Lil Murda talks to him about Uncle Clifford. And he tells Lil Murda that he's forgiven. And it's the most peaceful that Big Teak has ever been. Obviously, it was foreshadowing because Big Teak has already given up on life. But I really, really wish that Lil Murda didn't say a goddamn word about Uncle Clifford, because you see Big Teak's heart drop. And I just feel like it was part of what pushed him over the edge a little bit. It was just this reality check for him, like, okay, Lil Murda has moved on, wants someone else, we ain't gonna be a thing. Just like Lil Murda put his hand on Big Teak's hand, and you could tell that it, like, Big Teak, like, was so moved by it, so affected by it, and then he moved his hand, and I'm just like, no, Big Teak, you're hot, you're handsome, you could get another man, just stay with us. But at the same time, I always thought about Big Teak and his feelings for Lil Murda, and I'm like, they are in the dirty South. How many men is Big Teak going to feel comfortable going after? And how many men is he going to have a connection with that he has with Lil Murda, or a similar connection? So I understand that he in his mind, it could be like Lil Murda is the end all be all, and Lil Murda don't want him the same way. And so why should he even be here in the closet, in these streets, with all his, like, demons from the past? So Derek leaves, and Keyshawn packs up her things. She leaves her phone on the coffee table, and as we know, puts her kids in Derek's Prius, and the Prius will not start because Derek removed the battery. When I said Derek wasn't smart in my last episode, that holds true. However, he's clever when it comes to controlling his woman. And so many people are like, why didn't you get an Uber? Why didn't you get an Uber? Why didn't you get an Uber? Because Uber tracks your location and your destination. So that's problem number one. Derek would get access to that information, find out where she's at. And number two, when you are escaping with 2 babies, you clearly need a vehicle. It's not really a Uber situation. You need a vehicle because you're running. You have to flee, and you don't know how often you're going to have to move because Derek is going to figure out where the fuck you're at. So she needs a car. And obviously, because Derek is so dangerous and Keyshawn is protective of the people that she loves, she's not really trying to bring everybody into her drama and call up, different people to come and pick her up when she just doesn't even know how long Derek is going to be gone. Realistically, because when we saw her packing and putting the kids in the car, like, my heart was racing. I'm like, no, Derek is coming, he's turning around, he has to check, and so it's like, can you imagine if Derek finds out that somebody helped her, that Derek is going to try to, he's going to try to murder that person. Keyshawn taking out Derek, she has to do this shit on her own, or she has to get somebody to do it, to start it and finish it. But she can't have anybody help her because that person or those people are going to be at risk, because we know Derek, mentally, he's completely gone. So then Murder Song is playing on the radio, and Big T can't operate a gas tank. And, Lil Murda is so cute. He doesn't, shame him for not knowing how to do it. He's like, oh, I'll do it. This is how you do it. So we hear Tina Snow, aka Megan Thee Stallion. She's playing on the radio, along with Lil Murda, and Big Teak is just the best cheerleader. Big Teak is so excited. It was just so great to see. It's like, just enjoy your boy having his moment and his night and his success. It's like Big Teak just feels it and is so happy for him. It's so beautiful because a lot of people get jealous, and you could tell Big Teak is not someone who's ever gonna get jealous. All he wants to do is gas up Lil Murda. It's so cute. Big Teak was just the best. So then, back at the Pank, Roulette feels threatened by all the attention that Whisper is getting, and it feels like colorism, honestly, because Roulette is trying so hard. She takes off her shoes. She holds herself up on the pole sideways, giving us something that we ain't never seen before. And when I say we, I'm talking about my ass, because I am not, I don't frequent the strip clubs, but I've never seen nothing like that before. It was so good. Roulette is really cold on that pole, and Whisper isn't doing that much, but of course, we got to see Terrence pop up in Roulette's face, the guy that Roulette gave a blowjob to, and he says that he'll pay Whisper $2,000 to eat her pussy. I can tell you right now, I would not take that $2,000, because you're disgusting, you're gross. There are bitches out here in the club, on the street, eat one of they pussies. I mean, what? So what if someone says that they'll pay you $2,000 to eat your pussy, and they are down there not knowing what the fuck they are doing? What they are doing is horrible, it's bad. I don't need $2,000 that badly. Not at all, because I already think there's something wrong with you to try to be paying me that much money for that in the first place. And we never find out if Whisper actually takes his $2,000 for him to eat her out, because they never show us whether that happened or not. They just show her dancing with him, and I hope that they address that in the next episode, because I'm like, is Roulette really gonna bring Whisper into her hoeing world? Into her prostitution shit. So then, back at Coach's house, Mercedes looks at Farrah and tells her, "You wouldn't mess with my bag, would ya? We need to act like nothing between us ever happened." It's too late, Mercedes. You didn't see the warning signs with Farrah, which I saw the moment Farrah said, "I hate myself." That was the moment you should have known this bitch is gonna be trying to take you down. And this bitch is gonna become obsessed with you. She has a personal vendetta against her husband. She's going to try to ruin whatever her husband has. She's going to try to get you, because if she gets you, and if her husband finds out, that means you don't get paid anymore. and she's jealous and bitter and salty because she says she has to fuck her man for free. I always knew Farrah was a snake. And I don't like Farrah. And one thing, like, P-Valley is so good at giving us these characters that are just, that they're the worst. I don't like Farrah. I don't feel any sympathy for Farrah. And look at what the fuck happened. Which I think was always Farrah's master plan. Like, what happened, I think Farrah was surprised about. But Farrah took them photos of Mercedes. So I think she was just trying to get, take down Mercedes regardless. She was trying to she was trying to stop Mercedes' bag, period. Because she got her photographic evidence, which violates the contract. So, let's see here. So Autumn, she crashes Andre's fundraiser. And what's so funny to me about Autumn is in a bright red wig with a red dress when this is like a very formal suit and tie event where people are not supposed to be wearing no goddamn red dress. But Autumn was there to cause a scene. So then Autumn, of course, she asks Andre what makes him think prosperity for all is possible. And she don't got no southern accent when she asks this question. Ain't nobody trolls like Autumn, though. So it's like one thing Autumn is good at is trolling, and I'm gonna get to that shit later when I talk about the sex scene. Back at Coach's penthouse, we already know what happens. He tells Mercedes, "You done turned my wife out." And then Farrah gets in his face, says, "You don't even know that I like pussy just as much as you. Hell, maybe even more." And then Coach, when he tells Mercedes, "You were supposed to be for me, goddammit. Get the hell out of here, you backwoods hoe." And it's just like, you see how Coach is so fucking selfish. Like, you were supposed to be for me. And he's just like pissed off. And arguably he should have been, but he was really rough with Mercedes. She said that he was hurting her arm and he didn't care. So that's it for Mercedes and her arrangement. As y'all saw, she didn't get her money. Farrah gives her shoes. I'm going to talk about Farrah. So we see that Mercedes can never come up. We see that if Mercedes is in a position to have money or keep money, it's not going to happen. It's like, Mercedes, the rules were so simple. So simple. Go to Coach's penthouse, have sex with Coach, leave. Get your money, go, repeat. Have sex with him, leave, get your money. Like, you didn't have to be doing all this. You shouldn't have been letting Farrah play you like that. It was so sad. And Mercedes, like, she's there basically as a prostitute. So I think that contributed to why she didn't really put up much of a fight, why she didn't really protest about getting her money. Because it was like, how embarrassing. The man that you are supposed to be having sex with is there pulling you out of his bedroom, pulling you out of his house. Like, it's like, you guys, can you give Mercedes a break? Okay, and so with Farrah's ass, I'm gonna talk about her in my spoilers episode. Like I said, I'm gonna put out one more spoilers episode, and I'm gonna talk about her ass, her bitch ass. So then Duffy and Roulette, they decide to be hoes together. It was cute. I appreciated their little scene. We saw it coming. We saw that, like, as soon as Duffy saw Roulette, like, he was invested. Like, he went from crying about Gidget, which is what men do, to just being into Roulette. So then Keyshawn, we see her holding the gun that Haley gave her and pointing it at the door, practicing shooting Derek when he gets home. So Keyshawn gets scared to shoot Derek when he walks in, and she puts the gun behind the couch pillow, and she's supposed to be scared. It's not every day you shoot your man in the face or in the chest or whatever, and that's a problem with these gun with a lot of gun owners, there's a lot of data behind it about how, like, if somebody really does bust up in their house, they can't even shoot the weapon right. So you really have to know what you're doing when it comes to a gun. And it's like, I would be so scared of Derek. Like, I would never think, let me just shoot him when he walks in. If I was going to shoot somebody, like, I need to do it when they're sleeping, when they're in some type of a state where they cannot come and knock the gun out of my hand and finish me off. So then Keyshawn is just so miserable with Derek, as we see, and it's just kind of crazy that Derek doesn't pick up on the fact that Keyshawn is miserable. And I think, like, when he hugs her from the side, he's like, I'm so happy you're here. And what I personally think part of it is that he doesn't care. I think he doesn't notice, but I also think he doesn't care, because as long as she's with him, that's where she's supposed to be. So then Big T goes to his childhood trap house, as we see, and then he witnessed his mom kill his siblings with a knife very brutally when he was just 7 years old. He ran for his life, and somebody said that this story is actually there was actually a true story that took place in Mississippi, if I'm not mistaken, where that's what a mother did with her kids, and then her one child escaped with their life. And I don't know if P-Valley was trying to reflect that in Big T's story or not, but it gave us all of the information we needed to know about why he's so troubled. And that is something that you honestly need therapy for the rest of your life, because you're not going to get over that. So then Haley back at Andre's auction, and also Andre's fundraiser. I forgot to say that, like, now that Andre is running for mayor, all of a sudden he found a razor that he decided to put to his fucking head and his face. We see that Haley befriends a wealthy woman named Miss Baston, because Haley does know how to finesse. She just always has a master plan. Even if you kick her ass out, she gonna find a way to get back in the door. I respect it. So then Miss Batson, she expresses interest in paying Haley the $10 million that Haley wants to sell the bank. Haley knows how to work her charm. She really does. It's like, especially how she's all dressed up, just playing it just so cool. And this lady is like into her because she just liked her energy and how she was just so subtle with the fact that she's the owner. And I've seen the actress who plays, what's the name? Miss Batson. I've seen her in other shit. So I might IMDb her, but she's a good actress. I'm happy to see her on the show. So then I would always call her Toya, but apparently her name is Toy. So Toy gave Grandma Ernestine the vid, which I already discussed was clearly going to be the case. All right, so I'm going to talk about Ernestine a bit more in my spoilers episode. Forgive me, y'all. Like, what is wrong with me today? Like, I am here promoting this spoilers episode like 7 fucking times in this one episode, and it's the last spoilers episode that I'm going to do of the season, as I said, because I am remaining off of everywhere that actually gives me all these spoilers. But I'm just going to be discussing some things that I did see back when I was doing my research, which, as I said, I ain't doing no more research for the rest of this season. So we are now back at Andre's place, and we see that Autumn is waiting in a chair, sitting in the dark, which is exactly what she would do. Haley, she's crazy. She's a stalker. She's gonna get what she wants. She's relentless. She literally is sitting up in his house, just waiting for him in the dark, probably like masturbating the whole time. So then Haley, she seduces Andre. She tells him that she'll do anything that he wants. And so then Andre tells her to take off her dress, which I have no problem with. That's sexy. You told me to disrobe. I'm gonna take these titties out and this ass out for you. That's fine. But, then Andre tells Haley to crawl. And that's where it's no longer sexy to me. But because Haley has been wanting to fuck him for so long, she gets on all fours, she crawls over to him, stands up, drops her panties, and then pushes him on the bed, whips Andre's big ass dick out. He still has on his, his shirt and his jacket. I cannot stand a sex scene where people are partially clothed. But that's what's going on. Haley is butt naked and she rides him. She puts her fingers in his mouth. She chokes him. He chokes her. And it was pretty tame. And they're in the dark. And I'm so thankful that they are in the dark and they are not in the sunlight or bright lights, because I don't need and I don't want to see Haley and Andre together. So I'm going to say shout out to the P-Valley writers for having Haley and Andre have sex in the dark, which made it hard for us to see what the hell was going on. That's how I hope all of their sex scenes are, because I'm all out on Haley and Andre. And that's what I see across the board. And I am so fascinated in the downfall of Haley and Andre, because I feel that we were all on board. We felt their chemistry in season 1. And between season 1 and season 2, it's like there's a unanimous disgust and hatred towards these people as a couple, right? I'm talking about the characters exclusively, just as a couple. And I don't know where we went wrong. And I wonder if that was the goal. I wonder if P-Valley wanted us to still be on their side and on their team. Especially with Andre walking in on his wife. That could have been written so that we, have sympathy for Andre, and then it's no longer cheating if he's with Haley. I don't know what all of the storyboarding was and the thinking behind it when it comes to Andre and Haley, but my personal opinion of Andre and Haley, or I'm not going to speak for everyone. Like I said, I speak for everyone and nobody cares. No, this is what I'll say. I'll explain why I feel the way that I feel about Andre and Haley. So I don't like Andre and Haley together as a couple because individually, I can't stand either of them. So when you take two people that I strongly dislike and you put them together in a union, I can't support that union because both of them are shady. Both of them don't care about cheating. Both of them are cutthroat. Both of them are selfish and only care, or I'm not going to say narcissists because people overuse that, but they have these very similar qualities and they're joining forces basically for evil. They're both, I don't think either one of them is a good person, and them together, I can't root for them together. I'm like, nah, they just need to be corrupting someone else, dating someone else who doesn't have the very same identical bad qualities that each of them have. It's like them together, they could do a lot of damage. And I can't root for them because Haley just wants to sell the pink. And then Andre only cared about Haley. And he's trying to prove some point with running for mayor. And it's fascinating. I really, really wonder if the P-Valley writers were expecting so many people to call them boring and to be all out and want nothing to do with Andre, straight up saying they're fast forwarding past their scenes. I wonder if they knew that was going to happen, but they're so unlikable. And I'm saying this just in case that maybe that wasn't the goal. Maybe they want us to root for them together as a couple. And here's what I'll say. Y'all have taken everybody's hatred for Patrice and made her a likable character, excluding what she did to Mercedes. So if y'all were able to take Patrice, that everybody passionately despised in season 1, and make her fun and likable in season 2, that's possible for Andre and Haley. So I'm really interested to see where they're going to go with the character development with these two, because I personally, the sex scene did nothing for me. And It was exactly how I would expect Haley to fuck. For her to be on top, controlling everything, choking her man. I mean, Haley is not a passive, submissive person. She is so controlling, always focused on herself. And I would like to see, if we do see them have sex again, I would like to see more of a Diamond and Big Bone style, or just more variety than what we were given. I was like, no, this isn't sexy to me. And maybe it would have been. Maybe if it was two people I wanted to see have sex and it was the same sex scene, it would have been sexy. But something about Andre and Haley where it's like, I can't with these two. Like, I can't with them individually, and then when you bring them together, I'm like, no, this is too much. So then Big Teak and Lil Murda, they were so cute. I heard that they actually improvised when they were doing the So Fresh and So Clean Outkast song. So then Big Teak starts to sing, and his voice is smooth. Like, I am a fan of Big Teak. I hope to see him singing in something. So then Big Teak, he explains that he was in solitary confinement before he helped Lil Murda. He explained the tear tattoos on his cheek they represent his dead siblings. And he says that his story was supposed to end in that house. So basically he's been so tormented by watching his mother murder his siblings that he just feels like he also should have been killed. And when Big Teak tells Lil Murda, you got tomorrow, but I'm gonna have tonight, it was some of the biggest foreshadowing of the entire episode. So then Big Teak puts a gun to his head, and Lil Murda, trying his hardest to talk Big Teak out of shooting himself, was so beautiful and moving and powerful. And you just have to give it to these flawless actors in this scene. It was so heart-wrenching. You saw it for yourself. You already know this. I mean, amazing acting, top tier. So then Big Teak shoots himself, and I'm so happy that we didn't see that. We just see the flash, and we see Big Murda exit the car. And I said, obviously, my spoiler, Big Teak gets shot. I was guessing in that spoiler. I was guessing. And I didn't think everything was going to unfold the way that it did. I didn't see the suicide warning at the beginning of the episode, and I thought it was going to be a gang situation, and I did not know that Big Teak was going to kill himself. And as sad, like, I'm legit still sad about it, but I love that P-Valley is tackling so many topics nonstop. Every episode, they're gonna give it to us, they're gonna serve, and they're gonna make us think. And this is important because, you know, again, you can't go through all this hardship and just be fine without getting help. You cannot do that. So I'm really happy that P-Valley goes where a lot of other shows don't want to go, especially shows in the Black community. But I have to say, Big Teak loves Lil Murda. Big Teak would never, ever want to kill himself in front of Lil Murda. And it just shows, like, his demons were so strong. And it shows you how, like, suicidal people are not in their right state of mind. He would have never wanted to traumatize his friend in that way, but he knew he had to pull that trigger because he knew Lil Murda was trying to fight him on it, and he knew, I think part of him felt like, I don't want to back out of this, I have to do this, end of story. And so he just could not even wait until Lil Murda was not in his presence. He had to just take himself out of this world to end his pain. And I heard, it's like, so I heard from somebody who really likes to research that type of stuff that basically when people commit suicide, most of it is like basically a bit of a last minute decision. I don't believe that it's this like long thought out decision that people make. And I feel with Big Teak, he kept wanting to drop off Lil Murda to kill himself, but I don't believe that with Big Teak, I don't believe like he had spent a lot of time thinking about for sure this is what he's going to do, because I feel that he had battled with his demons for a long time. And yeah, he forgave him and he was kind of sure that he wanted to kill himself, but it still felt very last minute to me in how he did it in front of Lil Murda. Like he, again, had he thought out killing himself, had he truly thought out, or had he truly thought about doing it, he would have never shot himself in front of Lil Murda. So it's just, suicide tends to be a very impulsive thing, from what I've heard, and these people, they can be helped. It's like you really can get to so many people just in time and talk them out of it. But it's like, in some ways, it's kind of such a split second decision. And we see it sometimes with how some celebrities go. I remember when Anthony Bourdain killed himself, it seemed to be a very, very, very sudden thing. The reports that were coming out about it, like, he hadn't really thought that shit through at all. And so with Big Teak, he would have never wanted to hurt Lil Murda in that way, but his pain it overcame him so much that he just felt like he had to leave. And that's what true depression and whatever possible disorders or whatever he was dealing with, that's how strong it was, because he, as Lil Murda said, they about to go on tour, they have babies to make, money to make, he gave him this new car, none of it mattered, it wasn't enough. And it's like, that's what's so impressive about how P-Valley tackled Big Teak, because it shows us that when somebody has made that decision to go, they are not seeing clearly, they aren't seeing all the good that they have ahead, all their potential, they just want out. And it's so sad, because it's like Big Teak, he really just, everything was going to turn around. He could just enjoy his life outside of prison, but he decided to end it. It's staying with me as a viewer, and I appreciate that, because it makes me want to help people even more when I think people are in a dark place, and hopefully it will make everybody remember, reach out. Everybody's not always going to be in your face when they're not feeling good, because it's the opposite. A lot of times when people are depressed, they keep to themselves, they keep that to themselves, they decide to kill themselves by them on their own. They don't tell, like a person who's very serious about killing themselves, they aren't putting this shit in their Instagram story. They aren't putting it on their social media. They aren't sending out a group chat, a group text. No, because they don't want nobody to stop them. And so that's why you always got to be proactive about checking in with your strong friends, or checking in with the friends that you think are weak, checking in with the friends that are thriving, checking in with the friends who aren't, and family, because you just never know. And I just feel very blessed that, knock on wood, I don't know anybody who has killed themselves. So now moving right along to Mercedes' house, where she pulls off her wig. She just sitting at her table drinking alcohol. We see Terica crying in her arms. So we see that Terica is pregnant, and what is so genius about Terica being pregnant is that Mercedes cannot push too hard for Terica to have an abortion, because if Mercedes really presses Terica to have an abortion, she's telling Terica indirectly, I wish I had an abortion. I wish you were never born. I wish you weren't here. Because Terica is now in the position that Mercedes was in. And so if Mercedes is telling her to have an abortion, she's basically saying, you were a mistake. You shouldn't be here. You ruined my life. I shouldn't have given birth to you. So it's the most awkward position, whereas it's like if I were pregnant at Terica's age, my family would force me to have that baby, which is why they would not be involved. In my whole I would have to keep that away from them. They would force me to have that baby, but they would force me to have that baby coming from a perspective of the fact that my mom was not 15 when she had me. Or on the flip side of that, if I were pregnant at 15 and my mom pressed me to have an abortion, she would be in the position to press me to have an abortion if she didn't, if she were not pregnant, if she didn't give birth to me at 15. But for Mercedes to be pressing her daughter to have an abortion, she's in the absolute worst position ever because of the messaging, the indirect and direct messages it sends to Terica about Mercedes regretting having her. And to see this cycle repeat itself, the cycle repeating itself with so many characters on this show is a reminder that a lot of times people do not escape their past and what they were born into. Because I would think your mom had you at that young age. Hello, pregnancy is possible. Take your pregnancy pill take your birth control, have the MF or use a condom, figure out your cycle, figure out when you're ovulating, figure it out, because your mom is proof of what can happen when you don't. But apparently that just wasn't the case with Terica, and we ain't never heard that Terica has a boyfriend, which is so sad to me because it just makes me like, what? You were at a party, you were drunk? Like, how did this happen? So I hope we find out how this happened and who the father is, and hopefully it's not really repeating the cycle. Hopefully it's not no old man like Mercedes got pregnant by. So then the episode ends with sweaty Grandma Ernestine opening her front door saying, "Is that you, Daddy?" Which we already know that's not a good sign when people start seeing their dead family members. And then it's Lil Murda at Uncle Clifford's door. Again, Lil Murda always delivers with the raw emotion, the moving scenes. You could count on Lil Murda. Like, he's gonna get it right every single time. And then Lil Murda's embrace with Uncle Clifford. It's like you just like literally wanted to scream. But it's like if Lil Murda and Uncle Clifford get together, it's like Lil Murda's broken. This is not really the time for them to rekindle something, and which kind of makes their relationship even more beautiful, because Uncle Clifford could be a source of support for Lil Murda, and they could just have a rock solid bond, and it could just be this deep bond and deep friendship that may also include, a romantic relationship. But right now, the reunion right now is just going to be a supportive one. And Lil Murda saying, "I'm not okay." It's like, just breaks you. So thank you again for making it through this. I don't know what the hell my problem is. I feel like these recaps are getting longer, which is, doing a recap is so hard. It's so difficult to just figure out what you want to talk about, what you don't, because I thought I was going to really make my recaps more concise, but whatever. I'm new to this, and I'm learning and adjusting. And you already know, next week I should be dropping my spoilers episode and my reenactment episode, and hopefully I will be able to publish the other unaired portion of an interview that I did. And keep it safe. Please rate me 5 stars on Apple. Do your thing. Tell your P-Valley friends and family, watch a show about my podcast. And I will talk to you soon.